There's only ever been one episode of Coast to Coast Pinball that I really wanted to like delete and just make it like the lost episode. And I don't even I have no idea what episode it was. I don't remember what I was talking about. I just know, and I generally, faithful listener, friendly listener, I generally don't listen to my show after it's posted. I have not a lot of fun comes back to me by listening to myself talk the next day about what I talked about the night before. But one show in particular, I was really tired. And I sometimes spot check shows just for audio quality, just to hear what it sounds like, whatever. And I listened to one, and I could hear how tired I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And I couldn't stop listening because it was almost comical how bad I sounded and how just exhausted I was that night. I'm worried about tonight. I'm so tired. I'm fighting the urge to drink a bunch of caffeine at 11:30 at night. So that's my cold open for episode, what I believe at this moment is 164 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. It's a commentary. I'm a man out of quarters. I got to be honest. In that little break from the cold open to me talking over this music, I yawned a whole lot. So I just set you up. It's a Tuesday night. It's Tuesday night, May 12th, 2015. We're coming to you, not live, from just outside Manchester, New Hampshire, in a town called Hooksett. I don't even really know why I'm here, because I think I got a deal in the hotel. I'm awfully close to the Pinball Wizard Arcade in Pelham, New Hampshire, but there's been no time for pinball on this trip so far. I'm working, getting stuff done. I'm you want a little inside baseball, inside pinball, inside Nate's professional life here? I'll give you a little bit. So there's 9 of us that do what I do at Taylor Guitars. We're sales reps, and one or two of them might listen to this show. And if you're listening, JR or Eric, sorry for what I'm about to say. I'm crushing it this year. I'm having a great year. Like, things are really good. And see, I'm so tired. I don't even know where I was going with this. So anyway, little look inside of this. But I'm having a really good year. In fact, I'm the only one tracked above my goal right now for the month and the quarter, which is like fantastic. So the year's really good. Things are good at this. I've been doing this a long time. I have a pretty good idea how to do it. And it's not the easiest year for everybody on my team just because our goals go up. We're successful, sell more, yada, yada. It's sales. But things are really good for me. I'm loving it. And I'm out here working really hard and really enjoying it. And sometimes when I work really hard, I want to just get done at 5, 6, 7 o'clock or whatever and go play pinball. And then sometimes I just want to go and collapse because I'm working so hard. So currently I'm wanting to collapse. However, for like the past 3 days, I've wanted to record a show really badly because there's stuff going on and I just kind of want to talk. And this is my creative outlet. I'm going off on this tangent because somebody forwarded me a post on Pinside. So I guess this is like the most self-indulgent like piece of forum static ever.
Forum static.
I don't have it in front of me, and I don't even want to go look it up because it almost embarrasses me on some level. But the gist of the post, and it was from a friendly listener of the show, who I appreciate you thinking about me, was trying to predict the time that I will burn out and no longer be able to do Coast to Coast Pinball, when I will cease to pull off. Maybe not the show in general, but maybe the pace that it goes at. I don't know. But it was meant in good spirits, I think. It was a complimentary post, I would believe. When will Nate Shivers of Coast to Coast Pinball burn out? And he predicted, I want to say it was like April 2017, which is hilarious to me because I don't even know what I'm going to be doing in June of 2015, let alone April of 2017. But I guess the overarching thing about this is it does take a lot of energy to do these shows. I do have to get up for it. I have to like literally sometimes stand up when I record these and walk around and pace around and get excited. And I don't burn out on doing the show at all. And I know a lot of people who've done not just pinball podcasts, but other podcasts that I've known have said, man, just at some point you don't want to do it anymore. You kind of hit this wall where you talk and you've said the same sort of thing over and over. And and maybe your listenership drops or your feedback response drops or something happens like that, and you just start going, shouldn't I just spend time with my family, or shouldn't I just, work harder or do something like that? That can happen. But I will tell you, for me, it is very much a creative outlet. I played in bands my whole life. Like, since I was like 13 years old, I played in bands, and I don't have a band anymore. And I love playing pinball, and I don't play a lot of social pinball, but I have this show to talk about it, because I do love talking about pinball, and I think it's an incredibly interesting little tiny industry hobby world full of characters and people who have, throughout just their nature or their choosing, have put themselves in certain roles, and whether it's their business or it's just what they do for fun, it's just really interesting to me. So what I'm saying to you is there are no plans of Coast to Coast Pinball going away anytime. I might do Coast to Coast Pinball for the next 25 or 30 years. I can tell you, if we want to play the what if game, if I did just get burnt out on doing the podcast, or let's say the industry just really dove off a cliff and things slowed down, and all the interesting new games and mods and tournaments and shows, and that all started going away, that could definitely have an effect on me, because I don't know how many And the Year Was episodes I could do, nowadays, from what the show's become. And I don't know how many times I could dive deep into the rule set of, Terminator 3. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. It might be a little boring to me. I do enjoy the kind of the keeping up with what's happening, whether it be with new companies or Stern or at the shows. And just, I do enjoy that. That keeps me motivated. And playing more on a competitive level is certainly interesting to me, as you've probably noticed. I've jumped into that because I think it's interesting. Well, I know it's interesting to a lot of people, because the reaction I've gotten from it has been huge. The show's way better than it was, more listeners than ever, yada yada, all that good stuff. But I also think that past being a hobby, the collectors are going to be there. And there will be the type of collector who gets really into pinball and then sees like dirt bikes and gets really into dirt bikes and forgets pinball. That'll happen naturally. But there's also the collector who's just always going to have some pinball machines around, and they're always going to look at the Craigslist ads and look on eBay, and if they see a deal, they're going to go get the deal. That's always going to happen. I don't think that type of growth is exponentially possible. But what I think is really possible is people to become enamored and fall in love with gathering with some group of people, whether it be 8 people, whether it be 300 people, whether it be weekly, monthly, or just a few times a year at big events, playing the games with something on the line. And that something doesn't need to be money, necessarily. It doesn't need to be accolades and big, crazy Attack from Mars trophies. It could just be, hanging out with your friends and kind of razzing each other a little bit. That might be it. But I think that social competitive aspect has the most potential to really steamroll and grow. So aside from me liking to do it myself, I also think that it sparks something in a lot of people. Not everyone, because I do have a percentage of folks who listen to this show who have made it clear, maybe not made it clear, but have let it be known into the world, whether it was through internet posts or whatever, that they're not as interested in competitive pinball. And I've had people who have actually criticized, that competitive pinball, blah, blah, blah. I just want to play my Tales of the Arabian Nights. It's beautiful. I want to spin that lamp, and that's fine. That's great, because sometimes that's all I want to do too. Sometimes I just want to try and get lost in the zone, if you know what I'm saying. So I guess what I'm telling you is, right now we're doing a little State of the Union, as it is, faithful listener, because it's May 12th. It's we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of when I started this show, and I think things are really good. I actually I love this show. I love doing it. I take pride in it. Does it? So I got an email, tangent alert. I should make a sound thing for tangent alert. In fact, I'm going to timestamp this, and just maybe, if I'm up for it tonight, somewhere around the 9-minute and 45-second mark, there'll be a tangent alert noise. We'll see. But tangent alert, I got an email a while back, and man, I'm sorry to everybody. I can't respond to everybody's emails. I just can't do it anymore. I wish I could. But I got an email a while back that the gist of the email was, "Hey Nate, love your show, love all the pinball podcasts. However, does it make you feel weird to hear nearly every other show mention you?" They said that, basically they said they don't, it's not often that they hear one particular show called out by everybody. And there's like 5, 6, 7 pinball podcasts out there, and I do what I can to promote them when I think about it, when I make notes about it. But this emailer was saying that in one week period, he heard 4 other shows mention this show. And he said, "Does that make you feel weird?" And hey, I've heard all that. I listen to these shows. And I would tell you that at the very beginning, yeah, it made me feel incredibly weird because I didn't know if it was justified and I didn't know if I deserved it. Now I would tell you that it makes me proud that people are listening to this show. I do take pride in it. I take pride when I get emails from people in the industry who I look up to that say they listen to this show. When other people are doing their show and taking their time out of their lives to record their show and they reference something I said, that's great. I'm sort of prideful. I mean, let's be really clear. This is the 164th. It's actually 165 because there's that weird little tiny episode way back when. I still remember. 164th episode. 164th time I've recorded on this laptop me talking about pinball, or me talking about pinball. Is this case, I'm very aware of how boring this might be to you. But for anybody to do that 164 times, there's a certain amount of ego involved. Correct. I can admit that, yes. So I'm well aware of that. But I take pride in the fact that I have had some really complimentary things said by other podcasts, other people in the industry, and most importantly to me, to the many people who do download the show. The downloads are great. The numbers make me very happy. I take pride. And my father, who is no longer with this world, but who once told me at a very, very young age when we were painting a wall, and I thought I had painted this wall and was done. And he came back over and he said, "You didn't do a very good job." And I looked at it and thought it was okay. And he said, "If you're going to do it, really do it." And I've just always remembered that. He didn't even want me to do it and help if I wasn't going to really do it. Cut in those corners, if you know what I'm saying. So that's what we're here on Coast to Coast Pinball doing tonight. We're cutting in the corners, as it may be. Let's talk about something that actually concerns a pinball machine, shall we? I said a few episodes ago when we were talking about color DMDs and how fond I am of the color DMD product, I think I said out loud that I was on the fence. I think I claimed that the $400 price point for a color DMD had hit exactly the spot that stuck me on a fence, where if it was any more, I just wouldn't buy one because it would just be too expensive in my head. But if it was $50 less, like $350, I would no doubt buy one for my Metallica machine without any more talk. I would just do it. So, someone called my bluff. And I don't know if I should say his name or not, but somebody literally sent me $50, PayPal'd me $50, and said, "All right, your bluff has been called. Now you have to go buy a color DMD for your Metallica." And I think it was part his way of showing some appreciation for the show. Thank you. And part just wanting me to have this great product because color DMDs are awesome. So to that person, I've emailed him already. I'm going to send him one of our new t-shirts in thanks. Whether or not he wants it, he's getting a t-shirt. But thank you, and I am absolutely going to now use that $50 directly towards that and buy a color DMD. I've already emailed Randy. They're a little back ordered on boards right now, but that'll be coming soon. So, bluff called, buying the color DMD. My listeners of this show never cease to amaze me. Thank you. So let's talk about price walls, because that made me think today while I was driving here in the rain. Price walls. I felt $400 was the fence. That put me on the price fence. Let's talk about the walls, because I do have some price walls. And let's go back in time. Let's go back a few years to where I was all alone. Well, I wasn't alone. Teresa was there. Teresa and I were all alone in our apartment in La Jolla. and there's only one pinball machine in that apartment. There's just one lonely Street Fighter 2 pinball machine. Great game, right? Right? Top 300 game? Maybe not. I don't know. Probably not. Anyway, I liked it at the time. Street Fighter 2, got it really cheap. And I had bought that game for I think $600 or something like that, and sold it for almost twice that. Go me, pat myself on the back. But I was definitely working with a price wall at that time. And this is when pinball was just something I was really into playing, when I saw them out in the world. I wasn't really seeking them out, but when I saw one, I was the pinball guy in the group. I was the guy that goes, oh, let's go play the pinball. And I knew a lot of the games. I knew Medieval Madness. I knew Attack from Mars. I knew Terminator, Addams Family, Twilight Zone. I knew all those games, and I knew some of the basic rules. I loved pinball, but I wasn't really into collecting yet. And I certainly wasn't thinking I'd be at episode 164. But I was always the guy that was putting quarters wherever I was, no matter how badly kept the game was. I would be the guy who would put his money into the game. So when I finally decided to buy a pinball machine, and I got into that whole world, and my early games, we're talking games I had an early Beat to Hack, Demolition Man, Street Fighter 2, Party Zone, these games. I had this wall of $1,000. That was just the wall for me. In my head, I was like, man, $1,000 is a lot of money for a toy, a single game to put in my home. And I'll go play the other games out on location, right? That's what you do. And so I would always, I would even search things and put, maximum price, $1,000. Did that all the time. And then everybody has that moment where they go, nope, I'm going to go get something more. And you go out and you find that game. And it was as I was really getting into reading Pinside and watching Pinside, and I was starting to see prices go up, and I was starting to really want something, something else new and modern. And this is how bad it is. I don't even remember what game it was. I'm totally blanking on the game, but I went and bought a game for $1,500. I had a new wall, and honestly, the wall was $2,000. I had figured out that I could part with $2,000 and be okay with it. And I was in my mind, I wanted a modern DMD game with better rules. So maybe this was that Demolition? It might have been my Demolition Man. Anyway, and that was cool. That was fine. Had that for a while. And then the wall starts moving, and you start looking at other things, and you start thinking, man, I still am jonesing for something. And my rationale was, I'm going to go buy my favorite game. I'm going to go buy the game that, I've always wanted and just thought, oh, it's too expensive. I can't do that. Oh, it's too expensive. And I would go and find these games on location. I knew where they all were, wherever I traveled. And that was Twilight Zone. So my wall now had to go from $2,000 to $5,000. So I put a new wall up of $5,000. And I searched and I searched and I searched. I ended up stretching it a tiny bit past $5,000 for a really nice Twilight Zone, and I got that. And it's funny? My wall went way back down to $2,000 immediately, and I sort of couldn't, justify anything over about $2,000 after that. I bought a Judge Dredd for $2 or $21 or whatever I bought it for. $18, I don't even remember. But that was always my new wall. And then came the madness of this show and going out to shows and seeing new games being built and the excitement of things, and my wall jumped back out to about $5,000. So honestly, I'm here to tell you today, my wall on a game is $5,000. That's just kind of where I'm at, and that tears me up a little bit because there's some new games out there that are more money than that. The Big Lebowski. I am going to have a lot of issues thinking about the Big Lebowski over the next few months. As they get closer to putting that game into manufacturing, it's going to be tough. Because when it was first released, I was sort of, I think we all were taken aback. Okay, this thing's for real. This is not just some project machine. This is not some guys retheming something. Because I got to be honest, and I've actually told Barry and the Dutch guys this, that I didn't really keep up very well with the news on who they were. I thought they were the dudes that were retheming Johnny Mnemonics into the Matrix machines for a while. I was confused. But when we saw the Big Lebowski reveal, I think some jaws hit the floor, and a lot of people started thinking, $8,000, that's not too bad. I can do $8,000 for that, because I want that theme and that bowling mechanism and that game and everything. So I've been really struggling with that one, because I like everything about that game. I'm not like the biggest giant Big Lebowski fan as far as the intellectual property in the world, but it's certainly like a top 100 movie for me. I'm of that right kind of age and interest level. Big Lebowski is a game that's right in my or a theme that's right in my wheelhouse. Gameplay's great. I want to play it again, obviously, and some more, but it's past that wall for me. It's at it's at that number. However, I also know that it could very well haunt me, because I think, and we've seen this whole like speculating thing on pinball prices. I think that $8,000 might be like the least I'll ever pay for that game, if that makes any sense. And I could be dead wrong. They may just all drop 10% once they're shipped, but I don't know. There's certain games in limited runs that have that theme going for them, that certain theme that is just so cherished. And I'm sitting here thinking about, I'm thinking about Medieval Madness. I'm thinking about Tron. I'm thinking about Attack from Mars. There's just some of those games that they're just never going to drop down. And you combine that with anything that's sort of limited, like the Big Lebowski is going to be a fairly low run game. There's not going to be 3,000 Big Lebowskis made. So I'm sitting here struggling with, can my wall move out? Can I buy an $8,000 machine? I also have room constraints, which helps me a little bit on this. But I got to tell you, I see people struggling with that right now as Kiss gets released, and Kiss has been released to really positive, generally positive reaction. I've seen a few people really nitpick the artwork and say that some of the perspective is out and this and that, and there's some validity to that. I'm not actually discounting that. I can see what they're saying, and I could see some people saying, oh, this theme is irrelevant, blah, blah, blah. Well, then it's not for you. You don't get it. Because I don't think Mustang's for me, but some people are into that. So that's just opinion. That's just really subjective, if you will. But I see some people struggling right now that are like, do I buy a limited edition Kiss if they can get one right now? Because I think those are going to be gone quick. Do I pony up for the premium with a couple more features? Or do I just buy the Pro? And it's all about, what is something worth to you? I had this struggle with Bride of Pinbot 2.0. And when that was announced, it was a no-brainer. It was like, oh my gosh, yes, I have this Bride of Pinbot here. It's an amazing piece of artwork in pinball, but it's really, really one-dimensional in gameplay. And these people are going to change that. Dutch Pinball is going to do this whole thing and give me a DMD and new rules and this and that. It's going to be awesome. And then the price came out. And, honestly, the price was just never this side of that wall in my head. To me that was like $1,100, $1,000 maybe. I could probably justify, because I would have felt like I was getting a new game and breathing life into an old game, and that would have been worth it. But when it crept up over $1,700-$1,800, that was just beyond for me. I couldn't justify it. And the people who have bought it love it. And there's one thing that I hear from most of those people, well, or some of them, that's their favorite game of all time. Bride of Pinbot is their favorite game. So the ability to then upgrade that game, it isn't even a choice for them. So it'll be interesting to see down the road with 2.0s if we get more 2.0s. And I know there's been a lot talked about that, and we'll see on that. But we'll see how that happens with the pricing and people who really love a game and think, oh my gosh, I'd love to have this game with these shots, but some new rules. What that price is out. So that's just me ranting a little bit about prices. If anybody has any opinions on that, I'd love to kind of hear some anecdotal stories from you, just about where was your wall, where was that number, where was the limit for you, and did it change, and has it gone backwards? I don't know. You tell me.
5 fast thoughts.
Oh, I got 5 fast thoughts for you. All right, first of all, fast thought number 1. Somebody stole an Avengers LE Hulk from a movie theater in Ottawa. Is that real? I've heard stories of games being stolen, and I've actually had people say to me, like, you could just walk in here with a with a dolly and a work jacket and act like you own the place and probably walk this game right out of here, just kind of saying it joking around, which at the time is kind of funny, but then when you hear somebody got their game stolen, that conversation's not that funny anymore. So that thread's up on Pinside. Just look for the thread about the Hulk number 93 being stolen right out of a movie theater. That's terrible. So I hope the guy gets his game back. Fast thought number 2. I alluded to this last episode, or 2 episodes ago, and I think it was with Josh. This coming weekend, I'm going to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Never been to Ann Arbor before. Been to Detroit. Never been to Ann Arbor. But I'm going to the Ann Arbor, Michigan Pinball Show and Pinball Museum. Very excited about that. And on Friday is the EM World Championships, which are now sponsored by Domino's Pizza. I think that is very, very cool that they have secured sponsorship for the EM World Championships. I can't wait because you know me. I know when I talk about tournaments, you're instantly, oh yeah, Nate, the EM guy. That's me, right? But I wanted to give a little heads up to Adam, who let me in on that. Adam actually works for Domino's Pizza. He's a VP at Domino's Pizza, who I believe, according to their advertisement, correct me if I'm wrong, they're no longer Domino's Pizza. They're just Domino's, man. Got to change your signature there. Just Domino's, because they're more than just pizza. See, your advertising works. So they're sponsoring the World Championships, which is very cool. We need more of that in pinball. I think if you're running a tournament at a show, you should do anything you can to go out and find a sponsor. I think that it could be something as simple as, hey, we really want to use your name to promote our tournament. Could you throw in some shirts or some samples, whether it be, the local Red Bull distributor or, I don't know, a local, trying to think what else you could do. This is all off the top of my head. I did not think this out. A local restaurant or a sports bar, like somebody sponsoring it. Strip club. I heard somebody say strip club. Thank you. Whoever just said that was the guy in the back of my head. Whatever it might be. Somebody to sponsor your tournament. I think it's a fantastic idea. Maybe they'll kick you a couple $100. Maybe they'll help you promote it. Just add to the prize pool. Because isn't that the end game, right? Maybe bump the prizes up a little bit on that. So I thought that was pretty cool that the Domino's is sponsoring that. Very cool. Fast thought number 3. This is just a thought, and for no other reason than I've never mentioned them on the show before, and I think they probably deserve a little bit of mention. This, and I'm not the official person on this, but as far as I know, the longest running league and or kind of ongoing pinball association in the country. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I will correct it on the show. But I believe it is the Free State Pinball Association, which is based around the D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia area, has been, an association of playing pinball for 19 years. 19 years. I bring that up based on an email about something completely unrelated where that was brought up to me, and I went and looked it up, and I thought, wow, that is 19 years. That's a long time, and I'm pretty jealous of you guys who are out there. And I know as soon as I clicked on their website, which is at fspazone.org, I recognized some of the names on there as friendly listeners to the show. So just a quick shout out to the Free State Pinball Association, which is awesome, 19 years in. Let me know when it's your 20th anniversary, because I'd love to tell that story of you've seen a lot as a group. All right, fast thought number 4. Posted on the Magic Girl Pinball blog a couple days ago, I want to say. Yeah, on the 9th, on Saturday. John Papaduke's blog going through the development of Magic Girl, the much maligned Zidware games that we've had lots to talk about before. Aluminum molds for the ramps. The molds were actually posted. And he basically says quickly, Magic, as in Magic Girl, has a triple ramp system made up of 4 ramp parts with the magic wands leading back to the left and right flipper return lanes. Have a great wiggle geometry here. Currently, the ramp tools are being cut out of block aluminum. Then they go through a secret method by master craftsman Mr. K to get them ready for pulling plastic and trimming on the automatic CNC trim jig setup. Apart from doing this part, on the back end, the ramps are created in 3D CAD and have to go through an exhaustive engineering check. No second tries here. J-pop. All right. Fast thought number 5. I have actually taken a break from a couple really long threads on Pinside because they're kind of bumming me out a little bit, to be quite honest. And I think you can guess which 2 threads those might have been. Skit Beat Pinball and J-Pop. Just because there hasn't been a lot of good coming out of those. There's been a step up in the, I don't know, is venom too strong of a word, but a step up in the venom level towards John Papaduke just recently. Lots of legal threats being tossed around and things like that. People are hitting their wall, as it may be, in terms of waiting for, reveals of the game, videos of flipping games being completed, etc., etc. The people that do have money with John have a lot of money with John, and so they're naturally, some of them are very upset. There's been rumblings that some suppliers of parts and work in general have not been paid for that work. I cannot confirm any of that. I have actually reached out just tonight. I sent an email to John and asked him if he would like to come on the show and address kind of the state of the affairs with Zidware. And I said, hey man, if you don't want to come on the show, just give me a message. Let me know what you'd like to say, and I'll tell everyone what you want to say. And I think John has listened to this show before and kind of knows where I stand. I try and call it as evenly as I can. I try and look at it from both sides and call a spade a spade. And obviously, things are not good over there. So fast thought number 5 was this sort of disturbing post from earlier today in the J-Pop update thread. And this was posted by the master account under the name CoinTaker. John Papaduke was too busy to review his open invoices before Expo. He made me feel like an ass for asking to get his account up to date, as he was very busy getting ready for Expo. Well, I did not want to be at fault for him not having the game ready for the show. It would take 15 minutes to review the invoices that have been sent to him several times. Now, 7 months later, I am the jerk for giving him my money and support for 4+ years and wanting answers and paid. Being paid is what he means, obviously. Pretty messed up if he has been paying himself without paying for ordered parts. Congrats to Ben Heck and Spooky. That's how it's done. The sad thing is, what John told me is why Ben was no longer part of the project. Looking forward to Ben's next game. Way to go, Ben. So, the Ben Heck stuff aside, because I don't know what happened between those guys. Ben will gladly tell you. This is not good at all, because I believe CoinTaker was going to be the single distributor. They'd bought a certain amount of games to sell, and I'm assuming by this they've paid money into these games, and I think there's probably some sort of deal. I'm speculating, flag of speculation waving above my head. Probably a deal on parts that John would need. And obviously, they were not free because CoinTaker is saying they've not been paid for these parts. So, CoinTaker's a fairly prevalent business in our little pinball world. They come to a lot of the shows. I have bought parts and a pinball machine from them. I don't know them personally, other than just doing business with them. They've been absolutely great with me. So the fact that they've had to now jump into a thread on an internet forum to basically kind of wave their own flag of like, could somebody help us here? Like, they're done. They are fed up at this point. Clearly, that's not good. And I think John needs to tell the story now. And I think he just needs to like say, doesn't have to be through my show, whatever. I mean, yes, I would love to have him come on the show. I would ask him tough, fair questions and just try and find out what people want to know, which is, what is the plan right now? We see all this talk from people who are trying to get close to the situation. They all come like walking away with their, hands on their heads, shaking their head like, oh my gosh, never mind. We've seen some good people try. And then you think it's just done. You think, and then people speculate there's no money left. He's broke, whatever. And we don't know any of that. But then you see things like the aluminum molds for the ramps, and you're like, well, hey, they're working on the games. And you see the photo posted the other day of, and I don't know who the guy that's in the photo is with him, but laying his head down on the Magic Girl playfield that has the paper ramps on it, saying, oh, time to get some real ramps. So, one could point to that and say, oh, progress. Like they're still working, however slow it may be. And you could start rationalizing in your head, you know what? This guy's a mad genius type. He's not going to do it on anybody's terms but his own. Leave him alone. But when you get CoinTaker outwardly saying, hey man, I'm done, that's really troubling. It's not a lot of people involved here, but it is good people with a lot of money. And if nothing else, and I don't dedicate a ton of time on this show to this subject with Zidware because of the kind of the low number of those affected. I'm not saying I don't care. I'm saying it's, less folks. And I'm guessing the people that dropped $16,000 on a game are not going to be, out of their house because of it. Not justifying the problems, just saying that this is why we don't talk about this a whole lot here. Whereas something like, Predator was 250 people, Delays in Medieval Madness was more, but you saw the plan there, Stern got on board, things were fine, whatever. But if nothing else, just from kind of a psychological look at it, watching a guy like John Papaduke, who, came to Bally Williams and was responsible in some part for some classic games and blazes his own trail, has had some success with Zidware in things other than building real pinball machines, apparently. And to see him so successfully take in pre-order money on these Ultimate Edition, super rare limited games, and then just go years without delivering a product, it's interesting. Is it sad? I don't know. Is it? It's interesting to me. I don't know that it's sad. I've had a meal with this man. He's not a bad dude, but he's a mess when it comes to this project. The project's a mess, and he knows it. Go read his blog after the Big Lebowski reveal. That seemed to be this milestone for him, because this guy, just like I said earlier, I have an ego. 164 episodes in, I have pride. I'm prideful. I have an ego. I think I'm fairly good at what I do in life. I strive to be that. I think John does too. John talks about moving pinball forward, inventing, doing all these new things, and I remember saying this on the show because it struck a chord with myself when I said it, because I almost felt bad, because I kind of know this guy, but I'll say it again. You can have all these great ideas, and you can hire the best artists, and you can design the coolest game with the best thought put into this, and use all the tricks and toys. But if nobody gets to play it, does it really matter? I think pinball as a group is a very forgiving bunch, and I think John Papaduke could get out of this. Albeit, I don't know if he can get out of it and then go sell a bunch more games anytime soon, but he could get out of this with something really acceptable as far as a game, because I think that the parts are there, but he needs to tell people what the plan is. All the secrecy, all the top secret methods, and you're trademarking everything and patenting everything, that's fine. You gotta tell people what's going on. If you care about keeping your investors / customers, your words, not mine, happy, and if you care about how people in this hobby, you call yourself the pinball inventor, if you care what those people think about you long term, what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want it to be the guy who took $1 million and sent no games out? So, I don't know. That's my number 5, not so fast thought. Before we jump into Bowen's cheat sheet here, I just do want to again thank Bo and Cairns for doing these for us and taking the time out to contribute to those listening and helping people. And I know you're not going to remember every rule and every shot that he tells you to go for and how to approach every single game. But I have gotten emails from people actually using the tips. That's great. And if nothing else, listening to one of the best players to ever play pinball talk about his strategy on different games will change the way you think about approaching a pinball machine when you need to score. So that's why we do these. So let's jump into Bowen's cheat sheet.
Bowen's cheat sheet.
All right, today we're going to discuss strategy in competitive pinball if you're playing AC/DC. And I think this is an interesting one because right from the start, you've got to choose a song and what mode you're going to be playing in. So if you're a novice to intermediate player, Bowen, where do you start on AC/DC? What songs should you choose and what should your strategy look like?
Yeah, if you're brand new to AC/DC, War Machine is a pretty clear choice for first song. The reason is that it's that left loop, that spinner. It's pretty wide. You can hit the spinner from either flipper. It scores a lot of points, and it feels very satisfying. You're hitting a shot and going boom, 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 and it's actually paying off. The other first song that I would pick is Highway to Hell, which activates the lower playfield on the LE and gives you the opportunity to chase into one of the three main multi-balls.
Are you actively shooting at ramps no matter what mode you're in here?
If I'm playing War Machine, I'm not. I'm going for the spinner repeatedly. And the thing with AC/DC is there's three different multi-balls, and each multi-ball is achieved by either making ramps or making loops or making drop target banks. And then it gives you a multi-ball in which you should continue to do whatever you did to start that multi-ball. So if you shoot ramps, you're going to get jam, which is a ramp shooting multi-ball. If you shoot loops, you're going to get tour multi-ball, which is a loop shooting multi-ball. And if you shoot drop target banks, you're going to get album multi-ball, which is a drop target bank multi-ball. It's pretty clever that way that someone who wants to concentrate on one feature of the game, like if you get dialed in on those ramps, then great, ramp out. You're going to get combos, you're going to get value in certain songs like Highway to Hell, and eventually you're going to get a multi-ball that continues to reward you for making the same shots you're making.
We've talked a lot about these games in these strategy segments about opportunities to backhand as a safer shot. I know the left ramp on AC/DC is one that you've kind of taught me to backhand.
Yeah, both ramps on AC/DC and also the spinner are backhandable. I wouldn't backhand the bell, but I have actually seen people backhand the right loop even on AC/DC, which doesn't look like it ought to be possible, but I've seen it done and I've done it myself. The reason you want to shoot backhands in general is that when you shoot across the playfields, you're putting the ball in danger of a potential center drain or an outlane drain by hitting a stand-up target. The angle at which the ball returns to you is going to be very different and more difficult than on a backhand. So unless something is lit for you to make that cross-field shot, like a combo or a jackpot in the multi-ball, in the jam multi-ball, it gives you double jackpot if you can continue making the ramps left, right, which adds up fast. Overall, though, I'd say just backhanding and keeping the ball on the same side of the playfield as your flipper, that rewards you in that drains will happen less often. They'll still happen, but they're less likely.
What is your favorite strategy right now? What song are you picking in competition on AC/DC?
My favorite strategy right now is to play For Those About to Rock, which is crazy. I don't use it in competition, but it's worth a crap load of points if you can get it going, and you get to fire the cannon all the time. The competitive strategy that I've been using with success is to play Hell's Bells on the LE only, and the reason is that on the LE you can use the little button for the VIP pass, which is like a smart bomb,
yep,
and it will swing the bell. So AC/DC is a game very much about a playfield multiplier. You can double and triple everything by getting the playfield multiplier. And the way you do that is by shooting the bell. Now you have a song you can play where the button will give you that playfield multiplier. And that means you can figure out exactly when you want the playfield doubled or tripled. You can keep it going if it's about to run out of time. Just push the button and you get 20 more seconds. These are ways in which players now are getting 200, 400, 600 million on AC/DC with much less effort than that score would have seemed when the game first came out. And I think it's a testament to AC/DC being a fantastic game that the strategies and decisions players are making to succeed on it are continuing to evolve. It's a wonderful game. Yeah, and if you want to read more about AC/DC rules, there's a rule sheet at bit.ly/AC/DC rule sheet. It's brand new and very detailed. And people donated to Pinball Outreach Project to make that possible.
Random number generator game reviews.
Oh, by request, we'll do it. Got an email. Pulled on my heartstrings. They like the random number generator game review. So, if you've never heard this before, we go to random.org on the interwebs. And we type in now, it's very convenient nowadays because there's a full 300 games ranked on the Pinside top, 100, 200, 300. And we're going to type in 1 through 3, and we're going to pull a random number. Whatever number comes up, I'm typing it right now, 100 to 300. I'm going to hit generate. Whatever number comes up, I'm going to go reference that game on the current list, and I'm going to talk about it, and hopefully I know something about the game. So here we go. Generating. Random number is 181. I've got to go back a page because I was on the page up to 300. All right. Number 181 is Playboy. Excellent. This is good. So, Playboy, 1978. Bally Playboy. Hugh Hefner and a bunch of girls in bikinis. This is one of those icons of pinball. There are a few out there, and I when I think of icons of pinball, I think about Fireball, Captain Fantastic, Playboy, Firepower, Addams Family, Twilight Zone, etc. Playboy's one of them. Kiss is one of them also. And my friend Zach just bought a Playboy, and we've been cleaning it up and ordering things for it. He just ordered new pop bumper tops. He's putting lights. We just got some pink LEDs. We've put some pink LEDs in the gameplay just to kind of razz it up a little bit. It's a cool game, and it's a game I never really liked. And when I was younger and I would see Playboy in a place, in a bar usually or whatever, sometimes I'd be at like a bar with my dad having lunch. I wouldn't play it because I felt embarrassed because I thought somebody was going to think I was just like, trying to play the game because there were mostly naked girls on it. But that's not it. It's a fun game. So there was a lot of Playboys made, and I believe I'm having to totally look this up. I don't know these things off the top of my head. The number of these made, 18,250. 18,000 of these games. That's a lot. A lot of people will say that this is a much better game than the Stern that was later released, 20-something years later? Something like that. It's all about the grotto shot, as my friend Zach would say, man, you got to get the ball in the grotto. And he's right. It is all about the grotto shot. Lots of pink on this game. It's that classic early solid state feel, though. It's not a drop target game. It is wait a minute. I'm sorry. It is a drop target game. There's drop targets on the right. What's on the right? It's drop targets. I always think of the stand-up targets on the left, which is kind of what I'm always, fighting with as I fight this game. So there's drop targets on the right. There's Playmate targets on the left. You get Playboy keys or the rollover lanes, and you got to get yourself into the grotto. And it was called a new Playboy Grotto. Unique kickback lane advances bonus up to 30,000 depending on number of keys lit. So you would shoot this shot up in the top left area, get the ball in the grotto, and it would kick the ball back out. It was cool. So I love the little song that it sings. It has just such vibe from that era. It's up there with Kiss, though. It's Kiss, Playboy, tons of games from that era of pinball, which is, to a lot of people, it is their era. It's actually, admittedly, a group of games that maybe I didn't appreciate a lot until I really started getting out and seeing them in mass and playing them in like classics in competition type stuff. You look at that group of games from the late 70s coming out of Bally. Think about $6 Million Man, Star Trek, cool game. Kiss, obviously. Harlem Globetrotters, what a fun game. Space Invaders, and then you get into like, Xenon was like 1980, and you had 8-Ball from that era. So just some 8-Ball, I think, had even more built than Playboy. But really great era of game. I think that if you have a collection of anything over like 4 or 5, you should have something from that era. And maybe it's going to be, I don't know, maybe you're going to have Paragon or something like that. I don't know. But there's some really, really cool games that have a feel of those late 70s, early 80s Bally's, and I want one. I want one. Future Spa, there's a cool game. So some of those wide bodies from that era. That's all that kind of time frame when I think about Playboy, when that comes to mind. It's Playboy's simple. It has 2 flippers, and you just got to shoot your shots, hit your drop targets, light your keys, and hit the grotto. So there's your random number generator game review, which lined up quite nicely for me tonight, as I've been playing some Playboy with my friend Zach just recently.
Check the email.
All right, we have time for one email. One. And I start it in my Gmail here. You can email me anytime you like. It's coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. And that's coast, the number 2, coast, pinball@gmail.com. If you'd like to write an email that may or may not ever be answered or read on the show. This one gets read and answered because I liked the title. It's the title of this email is Writing to Myself in the Future, ! This is from Stuart. Hi, Nate. I don't generally write emails. I'm more of a face-to-face sort of guy, but I feel compelled somehow to send you one today. To be honest, I don't even know where to start. I have a lot of separate thoughts that I need to tie up into a neat little bundle. About me, I'm 40 years old. I live in Melbourne, Australia. The first game I can remember playing was Terminator 2. Yeah, me too. Played all the fantastic Bally Williams games in the so-called Golden Era, then lost touch until about 12 months ago, when a friend from work started talking about pinball and that he was going to buy a machine. He had all these other friends that were big into pinball. Now, because I've never really had anything else to share my excitement for pinball, I was back into it with a head of steam. Chess, I think that's the guy's name. The work colleague bought a Judge Dredd not long after we had an opportunity to buy a Star Trek The Next Generation. In 94, 95, I spent way too much time playing Star Trek Next Generation. It was by far my favorite pinball machine, along with Addams Family and Twilight Zone. He and I decided to purchase Star Trek Next Generation in a joint venture. It had a few issues, but being tech-savvy people that we are, we both work in IT. Replacing boards and fixing dry solder joints wasn't an issue. Today I finished listening to episode 69 of Coast to Coast Pinball, and I've spent the last 2 months listening to all previous episodes in order. The date in your world is March 12th, 2014. The journey from episode 1 to 69 so far has been fantastic and has just fueled my passion for pinball even more. Congratulations on such a great show that is obviously still going. I met the friends of my buddy late last year. They love their pinball. I can't help but laugh as I write this. You may know them as friends of your show, Martin and Shane. I do know them. Listening to you read out emails from each of them over the past 2 months about the events that happened long before I knew them has been hilarious, especially the comments about Shane being fired from Team Coast to Coast for being hopeless in some competition. No, Shane's back on. I know you're not going to hear this for quite a while, but Shane is back on Team Coast to Coast. It's actually just Shane and Adam. Shane and Adam, the only members of Team Coast to Coast. All you have to do is buy a shirt and declare your allegiance, and I think they're the only two to do it. Anyway, through, I believe his name is Shay. What's C-H-E-S? How do you say that? Che? Chess? Che? I don't know. I'm sorry. Through these 3 guys and a few others, I've started playing competitive pinball each week. I love the challenge, and I've met a ton of other enthusiasts. I even got to go to some guy's house where he had 15 machines running, including a Big Bang bar. I'll close it off here so I don't get all rambly. Too late, sir. Too late. But needless to say, pinball has a tight hold on me again, and I love it. Oh, and about the subject. If by chance you do turn this email into some sort of shout-out on the podcast, I'm not going to hear it for about 6 months. I have a lot of episodes to go. Today, Kiss from Stern was released. I look forward to hearing about it. Cheers, Stu from Melbourne. P.S. I want to buy a couple of T-shirts, but not sure whether I need a large or an XL. The shirts have changed since episode 69. Stu, thank you for the email. I read that email because it completely encompasses why we do this. That's it right there. That's why I'm doing this. It's so much fun. You need a large. I trust in you. You need a large. So anyway, I'll talk to you in 6 months, Stu, and for the rest of you, I'll talk to you much sooner than that. Thank you so much for listening. Play more pinball, and enjoy yourselves. Take care.